to The Backlog. It's our brand new podcast that we're starting here. I'm Josh.
I'm Alex.
And what is The Backlog? Well, I mean, other than being a term for just a bunch of games that you have that you're trying to play through slowly, The Backlog is a podcast where we're going to talk about video games. We're going to talk about video game news. We're going to talk about future releases, past releases, current releases, anything in between. And then we're also going to talk about, you got to put the capitals on it, we're going to talk about The Backlog. And The Backlog is going to be our personal list of games that we think are worth playing. Whether you played them 1,000 times, you never thought you would play it.
What makes this qualified, Josh?
Well, let me tell you what makes us qualified to speak about The Backlog, and you know, we're not just two goons who walked in and decided that, you know, we could do it too. We played video games.
We played a lot of video games.
Sorry, can we fact check that? You played video games?
I've at least played one.
Okay, me too. I played maybe one or two at the most. No, but for real, I've been obviously playing games since I was like a child. Dad gave me an NES. I'm very proud to say my first game was Super Mario Brothers on the NES. What a tried and true classic. PS2, PS1. Had it all. Skipped PS3. My parents got me a 360. I don't know why they decided to just decide. They were like, you're an Xbox kid now. So I didn't have a PS3, but then I got a PS4, and now I have a PS5. And I did eventually go back and buy a PS3, and I have played Xbox. I don't hate Xbox, just for reference. I'm not one of those, you know, I'm not an elitist. Doesn't matter to me. So that's my gaming history.
I, funny enough, started off on the Super Nintendo, just a generation ahead, where my mom just got me a Game Boy, and I think I spent most of my young life playing Game Boy Color games more than I did anything on the Super Nintendo. Tell you what I also played a lot of back in the day was Super Mario World.
Legendary game, absolutely.
Legendary.
Spent many hours in it myself.
From there, I got a N64 to a GameCube to a Game Boy Advance. I pretty much had every Game Boy I think that they came out with. When I got a little bit older, my dad bought me a PS2 randomly. Probably the best console I've ever owned in my life. After that, I got a Xbox 360, much like you. Didn't have too much knowledge of what's going to go on with Xbox. Spent a good portion of my teenage years in those Modern Warfare 2 lobbies.
Prestiging and such.
Yep. Just, you know, really gained that camaraderie that came with that.
Yes, many negative things said in that kind of a space, so...
and now I am just a big collector. I've been collecting for over 8 years at this point now.
Sheesh. I am, also just for reference, I'm a manager of a local game store here in town. Have been manager for a while. I've been working there for 3-4 years, something like that at this point. But
I think it's honestly probably where me and you spend most of our free time some days.
Pretty much. I do go in on my days off. That's just how it works sometimes. But we play video games. We like games, and we don't care who knows.
That's right. I scream, we all scream for games.
Exactly. It tried and true adage. But yeah, it's a little bit of our, just kind of who we are, what this is about, and what to expect. On to the real we have a real episode planned. It's not just filler. It's not just you know, we know what we're doing. It's all planned out. It's this is pre-recorded. What you're hearing is not live. Thankfully it would be. I couldn't do that if it was live. That would scare me a lot. So anyways, we're gonna get on to our real topic. You were fooled. We hit a real topic in the filler episode.
What is that real topic?
The real topic is just a few days ago, the Game Freak Corporation released like a barely 2 to 3 minute trailer for a new Pokemon game called...
There was a trailer for it? I didn't even know there was a trailer.
Yeah, there was a Pokemon Presents.
Oh, that's right, because it was Pokemon Day, right?
It was Pokemon Day. They did a Pokemon Presents. And they were like, do you play Pokemon Masters on the phone? And I'm like, no. They're like, new content. And I'm like, okay. They're like, do you play Pokemon Cafe Mix on your phone? I'm like, I used to, not anymore. They're like, new content for the Pokemon Cafe remix.
It's great. All those Pokemon games that I spend 0 time on.
Like, do you play Pokemon Go? And I'm like, sometimes, not all the time. They're like, Alolan region guys come out on Tuesday. And I was like, nice. And then they were like, you play Arceus, and I'm like, my wife does. I haven't touched it yet.
Mine's still sealed. I have it sealed, sitting in the case.
They're like new content for Arceus, and I'm like, dude, that just came out, and you guys are pumping out the new content for it. They're like, do you play Diamond and Pearl? I'm like, yes, I did play Diamond. They're like, new content, Shaman is here. You can have Shaman. Okay, Shaman's here, perfect. And they're like, all right, that was it. We just shadow dropped like 9 things. See ya. And I'm like, but what do you mean, see ya? There's like 5 minutes left in the video. Yep. And then they did show the trailer for the new Pokemon, which is Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. No. Wouldn't it have been funny if I was like, the new game was Pokemon Platinum? And we our whole podcast, we just pretended like we were back in time when Pokemon Platinum came out.
I actually got to see the new Gen 9 starters, and I have a favorite. Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I have a favorite. You say yours first.
Mine, 100%. The one I'm going for straight away is going to be Fuecoco.
Fuecoco. He is a fire-type alligator who looks like a little chili pepper.
And he's got that little, American cheese patch on him.
Yeah, he's got the little square on front. Yeah. My favorite, and probably the one I'm going to pick, this might be an unpopular. I've talked to some people about it, and a lot of people are like, Quaxley, the duck, love him. I would die for him. Absolutely.
Huge Quaxley following already. I've noticed
and
that.
I've seen definitely some people who are like, Fuecoco, I love him. Yes, he's the little alligator. Love him. Now, I have not seen, this is anecdotal evidence entirely, but I think it's Sprigatito, I know it's Gatito, it's something Gatito. But he's like a grass kitty. He's a little kitty. And I love Sprigatito a lot. And out of, I talked to, maybe like 10 people, and only one other person was like, I like a cat. So I'm going for the cat. Let's just get into it. The region's based on Spain. In the trailer, there is a point where there is a map of Spain on the wall.
That's really cool.
So it is obviously just based on Spain.
It's giving me like a lot of, from the pictures I've seen of it, it's giving me a lot of Sword and Shield vibes, except we're going with a totally different art style.
So it's got that open world, absolutely. It is almost extremely apparent in some ways that not only Sword and Shield's wild area, but also Arceus is kind of forerunners for this. They definitely wanted to.
Yeah, it's going to be true open world from what I've seen. Like kind of like what Arceus was.
Again, they haven't said. Yeah, they have not given any like information other than that they showed images of like a big sprawling town and a plaza and an open world and Pokemon roaming around it. They did not go like, welcome to the Espanto region, or we just have imagery and video, so we do not have a lot of like written down information as of yet, but we do have that it's coming out late this year, which is nuts.
Which means that Arceus has the shortest lifespan of any full Pokemon game yet. A big thing that I've personally been inspired by, like, watching this, and I know exactly where I want to go with my team, is I'm going to get Fuecoco. I had the free alligator in Gen 2. This reminds me so much of my Gen 2 experience that I'm going to go straight for my gator, and I'm going to try to keep it kind of, what I'm thinking to be, I want to go like Fire, Ghost, and maybe Steel. I'm hoping those are going to be some big types that we're going to see. Spain, is probably going to see a lot of water types as well, so it'd be a hard team for me to keep.
Spain, obviously known for their Fire, Ghosts, and Steel.
Yeah.
Classically. I have seen some comments. People are like, the Galarian region, Sword and Shield was supposed to be like England, right?
Yep.
But I've seen, I hope there's a bunch of Galarian Pokemon trainers who are like, this place sucks. Galar region's way better. And I'm like, yeah, let's keep that European like rivalry like fueled in the Pokemon world.
Yeah.
We can't have peace. We all fight Pokemon in the streets, and also, yes, England does still hate Spain, I guess.
You lose one battle and it just goes to hell.
We already have I don't remember the name of it because that's just who I am as a person. The French region was Pokemon X and Y. So.
Unova, I believe.
It wasn't well, I thought Unova was White and Black. Anyways, it doesn't matter, and I don't remember. But we can all agree that the the French zone sucks the worst.
Yeah, that wasn't that great.
I think I named at one point he gives you like the professor in the French region. He gives you like a starter, like one of the original starters, Charmander, Squirtle, Bulbasaur. And I got a Squirtle from him, and I named it like ho 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 baguette or something, right? So
gotta have some soggy bread at that point. Give me a Squirtle name like that.
Wet bread.
No,
Squirtle.
like a lot of like from what I've seen out of the starters, it really reminds me of more of early Pokemon designs than the later ones we've been seeing. Because I keep talking about him because I love him so much. Fuecoco has a Totodile look to him. Mm. He really looks, and I'm hoping that his line goes like it did with Totodiles, that we're going to see like a Croconaw type of weird intermediate, and we're going to get that super cool alligator that Free Alligator was out of Fuecoco. I want to see basically that, but in a fire type. I know a lot of people were also kind of mad that, Fuecoco is obviously an alligator, and we were so set up for the Chinese New Year chart of fire starters, and this one just broke it all. Mm. I know some people were kind of salty about that.
I think the big thing that I think is definitely going to... I mean, there's many big things, right? That are going to make or break this game, in my opinion. Is the open world gameplay. I mean, I just speaking completely honest, I have not played Arceus. I have not played, I hear the gameplay is amazing. A lot of people like it. I've heard
all my friends that have played it have said that it's just the best Pokemon game they've played to date.
I've heard the graphics won't blow you away, but I hear the gameplay. If you're a Pokemon fan, the gameplay is amazing. Yep. Which is good to hear, right?
Which honestly, it's a Pokemon game. If you're really concerned about graphics at this point, I feel like you're just kind of barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah, at no point have we looked at a Pokemon game and say, wow, this truly is a next-gen experience, right?
I think the only time that we've ever had a discussion like that in gaming was when Pokemon Coliseum and Pokemon
Gale of Darkness.
Gale of Darkness came out.
Yeah.
And those were the big ones that people were like, oh my god.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially at the time, right? Thinking like Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, I mean, right? Stadium brought us 3D models.
Yeah.
And then when we got to have like, this quote unquote, free roam experience in Coliseum, I think people really were, big into that. But, since, the more modern games have kind of been, in Pokemon have been making it more of like, free roam between all the cities is a very normal thing. There's like extra stuff you can do. I think people kind of forgot about that hype. And then with Arceus coming out, that was a big deal. And now I think people are really looking forward to that in Scarlet and Violet.
The other biggest thing I have about Scarlet and Violet is, especially in the circles that I ran in, just listening to customers and people talk about Sword and Shield. I mean, I had a great time with Sword and Shield. Played through the story. I haven't done the DLC yet, but I had a great time. Super fun experience in the Galar region. But the big thing was you can't catch every Pokemon. There's no...
Yeah, people were going to boycott it.
It was a whole... Absolutely, it was a huge thing.
I remember seeing Pokemon boycott on Twitter.
Because the bit here is, and you look at them and say, well, you can't catch them all in every game, right? Even if you go play Platinum or Emerald or whatever, you can't catch every single Pokemon, but you could trade forward, and there were 900 different things. You had to get the freaking Coliseum bonus disc to get freaking Celebi, etc., right?
Part of me is very much like, I'm kind of with that group. I want to catch all the Pokemon that have been, introduced to this point when I buy a new Pokemon game. To me, the National Dex is a very important thing. But at the same time, I also understand how hard it is for those artists. I think people forget about that. They're on a crunch time. They have only so much they can do. And a lot of times they're going to be like, hey, we had all this cool ideas, but it's either we make, the Pokemon in the game and have them all available, or we give people more content to play with. And I think people kind of forget about that, especially in the new games.
And there's just a level, right, where it's like, if you are a casual Pokemon player, I mean, I love the Pokemon games, absolutely. I grew up playing Heart Gold and loved it to death. I work full time, right? Like, I can't just play Pokemon.
Yep.
You know, I'm not going to come home, play Pokemon for 10 hours, go to bed, wake up 6 hours later, go to work for 8 hours, come home, play another 10 hours Pokemon. That's just not in the cards for me. So if if the first thing on the video, like, you get the video game, you flip it over, on the back it says, you can catch all, 900,
Yeah, we're in the
1,000.
900s for sure at this point.
You catch all 900, they add another 120 or whatever. You can catch all 1,000 Pokemon. I'm like, dude, that's... If catching one Pokemon takes, like, a minute, I have to spend 1,000 minutes, longer than that on some of the harder ones, right? To, like,
Yeah, there's
catch
some
a
that are,
Pokemon.
gonna take a while.
I'm gonna
Especially
go with the legendaries and...
Imagine the people that are out there that shiny hunt their Pokedex.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna go for, like,
my god,
a living shiny dex or something, like, woof.
I mean, like, the other thing is that, like, Pokemon games aren't what they used to be. They're not spread out now. I mean, I can't tell you, like, as a kid, it felt forever to go from Gen 1 to Gen 3. I remember playing Blue a ton, and then when, Gold, Silver, and Crystal came out, we would have to look it up, but I think that was like a 5-year span, 6-year span or something. Because, like, that took forever, it felt like, as a kid. And I played Gold and Silver for the longest time. Until finally Ruby and Sapphire were announced. And then after that, they introduced Emerald. And, I mean, we had all these releases, but you could transfer all your Pokemon from 1 to 2. But 2 to 3 didn't work initially at the time. But from, 3 to Gen 6, you could bring them up?
Yeah, there was like I think 2 was the gap, or maybe 2 or 3 was the gap, because you can't trade them from one to the next.
Yeah, and like all these were pixelated at the time, so I mean, like, it wasn't that hard for them to keep adding stuff on because they already had the code. They just needed like the more modern sprite, or they need to update a sprite image or something. But now we're in full 3D rendered objects.
And that being said, I remember. Offshoot of that at the time, I remember when Sword and Shield came out, people were like, oh, they're using the same models from some of, like, the 3DS games. And people were comparing the pixels and frames, and put the hacker goggles on, and I'm looking at the models, and they're pixel accurate, which you could say, hey, this sucks, they haven't updated the model for freaking, Wingull in 7 years or something, right? Look, man, at the end of the day, and well, it's a tough thing to lie. It's a tough line to toe, because in my opinion, it's like Pokemon is one of the most successful franchises globally in the world. Period.
They just celebrated 25 years. What was it, last year?
Yep, I think that was last year. Was 25. It's an extremely. It makes money, billions of dollars globally. I mean, annually.
Pikachu's the second most well-known mouse in existence behind Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. So, at some point we can say, hey, can we use some of that Pokemon money to give Game Freak developers, please?
No kidding.
But also,
like, you've been using the same developer for the last 25 years. Throw them a bone.
Yeah, exactly, right? But also at the end of the day, it's like, dude, I'm not gonna, like, somebody would have to go into Blender, and you're making some game development Unity engine, and I'm building Pokemon from scratch, and they have to have different moves, and yeah, he can fly around, and you can ride him in this one, so now you gotta freaking animate the player riding on the freaking, like, Lapras or something, There's a billion trillion steps, obviously, right? So at the end of the day, I'm like, if they use the same Wingull model that they used in the past 2 games...
Who cares?
Who cares?
It's
freaking Wingull, man. It will live.
I mean, first off, Pelipper with Drizzle, probably one of the greatest, like, opening Pokemon you can get in a, like, battle team. Start off, especially if you're going around that route of, like, using water and electric types.
Yeah.
But, like, how often do you use a Wingull?
Yeah, it just doesn't matter, and that's
how often do you use some of these Pokemon?
Right, and that's what I was going to mention. Another thing for a casual player is just like, if you put 1,000 Pokemon in the game, I mean, what are the chances
you'll use even half?
Not even close. If you're just like, I'm gonna play the game, whoever's gonna play the game is gonna like catch like, you know, you're gonna catch the 50 Pokemon that you like and you'll use. You know, on your journey you'll get up to like 100, maybe 150, just kind of ambiently catching whatever shows up while you're grinding and stuff. You'll use the ones you like for type stuff, but at the end of the day, you know, like you know, unless you're dedicated, a lot of people aren't gonna see all 1,000 Pokemon, 900 Pokemon that if we're gonna put those in the game. You know, would I love to see it? Absolutely.
I think it'd be great for, you know, like we're getting into console gaming now. I mean, the Switch is a console, but it, you know, it's not a PS4, it's not a PS5, it's not an Xbox, you know, One, it's not an Xbox Series X. I mean, like, Nintendo could make something like that, but their audience is a much younger audience, and I don't think kids, especially nowadays, have the attention span to go for 1,000 Pokemon. It'd be super cool to see it. Nintendo could make the engine and the hardware to do it on, but I don't think we're gonna see it.
I would like to see it, but if it doesn't happen, which I'm expecting it not to happen at this point, I'm okay. I'm okay with that. Diamond and Pearl were awesome. Sword and Shield were awesome. The games are fun, regardless of if I can catch every single thing or not. And then back to Sword and Shield again. I did like when they did DLC. That had never happened before. There was no
First time DLC was Sword and Shield.
I mean, there's like DLC, right? But we're talking like, here's your GameStop exclusive shiny Gengar that knows freaking Steel Claw or something, right? Here's your, like I said earlier, the bonus disc with Celebi for Pokemon Coliseum, or, you know, et cetera, et cetera. There's always been bonus stuff and event Pokemon and stuff, but it was the first time that they did real paid DLC. I mean, you got a whole another island. You had the snowy region. You can go catch every... you can go to the dens and catch the legendaries, which is super awesome. Yeah, it's great.
I mean, so like going back to like the whole like National Dex thing, for Sword and Shield, I completed the Pokédex. You know, it was something that I really wanted to strive for. Normally in Pokemon games, I don't go for the Pokédex. I just go for a team I really can enjoy, and that works well, and then I'll start taking that into like ranked matches, basically. But like it's not a top priority for me, but you know, this time around when Sword and Shield came out, it was. I wanted to do something that I normally didn't do, and so I completed the Pokédex. I think it took me up until Diamond and Pearl was released for me to do that. And that's me as a casual player. It took me from the moment it came out to the remakes of Diamond and Pearl for me to complete the Pokédex. You know, and I work 40, 50 hours a week, you know, and then I have other stuff that's happening, but, you know, sure, I could cut some time out to make room for it, done it a lot faster, but I don't see how that's reasonable as someone, you know, with a life outside of their work plus their work.
Well, that's what I wanted to mention with the DLC was, I thought it was nice that the game comes out, you've got a year to play it, catch all the Pokemon if you want to catch all the Pokemon. If you don't, that's fine. But they're giving, you know, the DLC, yeah, they're working on it, but it's also kind of secondarily giving everybody time to play the game, get through it. So then when the DLC comes out, you're like, well, I caught all the Pokemon. They gave me a year. I caught all the Pokemon in a year. Okay, great. Here's your Gen 2. We're releasing a new wave of 70 new Pokemon you can catch in the DLC or whatever. Boom, now it's, you know, you're refreshing the, you know, you're like, everybody's like, oh, I want to play again because the DLC is sweet. So I'm fine if at launch they say, hey, it doesn't have every Pokemon. Because there's still an opportunity down the line where we can say...
I think people need to get used to that kind of being the norm nowadays. Because, I mean, we start hitting, you know, 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 Pokemon. Because, like, let's be honest, I don't think Pokemon's going anywhere. We're going to hit that point where we just start seeing crazy numbers. You know, it's not going to be a thing we should expect again. I think it lived and died in, what was it, like Gen 4 was the last time we could do it. You know, the original Gen 4 was the last time we had a full National Dex. I think we just need to accept that that's when it was. I could be mistaken. It could be like Gen 5. I don't see it coming back. That being said, though, I feel like we might have this moment in Pokemon where they go, hey guys, Gen 1 and 2, and maybe even 3, that would hurt my feelings a bit, going through this thought, but like, maybe 1, 2, and 3, we're not doing anymore. And we're doing 4 onward. And then you can have all of those Pokemon. I could see that being the new National Dex.
New National Dex just doesn't have the OGs.
Yeah, it like they cut out a portion of it, or like we're on Gen 9. They could just say, hey, 5 and up is where we're at.
No, I did this is something I was thinking about and I wanted to mention. It's called Scarlet and Violet, obviously, red and blue being the theming kind of there. Do you think story-wise, do you think we're going to harken back? Do you think we're going to... And you think in any way we're going to reach back to those early days of Pokemon? It's pretty much titled Red and Blue, right? Like,
it is. The one thing, like I said at the beginning, is I looked at these 3 new, like brand new Pokemon that they came out with, and my first thought was Gen 2. It's where my mind went, and I was like, in fact... Sprigato or Sprigatito.
Yeah, Sprigatito.
That honestly looks a lot like Persian almost, or Meowth even.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a Skitty.
Skitty Meowth, like it harkens on those first 3 generations. And I'm a dirty Gen 1er. I love Gen 1. I grew up playing with it, and I know a lot of younger. People that grew up, after like Gen 3, kind of view Gen 1 and 2 as kind of like Pokemon didn't know what they were doing. They were just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing if it stuck. But I mean, growing up with Gen 1 was my favorite thing, and this just makes me think of Gen 1 and 2 all over again, and I'm so sold on it.
Yeah, I'm sold. I'm very excited. I will be picking it up. I'll be playing it. I'll be in the Pokemon fever.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick up both at launch for sure. Which one are you gonna play though? Where are you picking? Are you picking Scarlet? Or are you picking Violet?
Now, my wife and I always flip flop. Diamond and Pearl remakes came out. I said I want Diamond. I love Dialga more than I like Palkia. She said okay, works for me. So we watched the trailer together. I said, it's your choice, dear. Which one you get to pick this time? What do you want? She said, I think I want Scarlet, to which I responded, yes, because I really wanted Violet, so I will be playing Violet.
Oh, I think what also is going to, will finalize my choice is when we get to see the box art legendaries.
Yes, that'll be good.
I mean, from Gen 2 onward, they've been doing box art legendaries, and that's what really sells which game people pick.
Do you think they're going to do... They did this in Sword and Shield. They had the Galarian birds. So they had Galarian, Moltres, Galarian, Zapdos.
I don't think we're going to, per se, see the birds again, but I feel like we're going to...
Yeah, do you think they're going to do, like, a... this new region, do you think they're going to do a new regional version of old legendaries?
We, since they did the birds with the Galarian forms,
You think they're going to?
I think we're going to see the dogs.
Yep.
Entei, Raikou, and Suicune. I think we're going to see those again.
That'd be sweet. I love Entei. So they mainly have just like a. You ever seen Pokemon 3?
Oh yes, of course.
This is the one where Entei becomes her dad. Her dad dies.
Yeah.
And then her dad is like Entei or whatever, and
Entei can talk for some reason.
And
none of the other ones could.
Not only can he talk, he like grants her like weird dream wishes the whole time, and I'm like, then you.
Entei's out here being Darkrai before Darkrai.
Yeah, so then you go into the game, you play Pokemon, and you're like, dude, Entei's gonna use his sweet dream magic, dude, and they're like, no, he knows like flamethrower, and I'm like, dude, where's his sweet?
I don't think he learns flamethrower. I think he only knows Fire Blast.
Well, you see, so he's gonna use Fire Blast, but I'm like, in the movie, he was like talking to the girl, and like it was like a whole traumatic.
I thought for sure he was gonna be Fire Psychic, and then he was just Fire.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It would be cool to see more. I'm happy with that if they want to keep doing like, here's old legendaries, but not how you think. I think that is a cool idea.
I think I stopped watching Pokemon movies at the basically after 3000, but I think the Latios one was the last one I watched.
Sure.
And the reason I had to stop watching them was because they made like some of the legendaries look so cool and so good. It's become common knowledge in the Pokemon universe that Mewtwo can talk.
Straight up.
It's something that we all know. In the games he doesn't, but he has all of his super cool powers. He knows Psychic. He He's a really strong legendary in general. He's used a lot in like ranked matches that people do on the RPGs. Some of the other legendaries like Lugia. Lugia could talk in Pokemon 2000.
Yeah.
Lugia isn't that cool in the games.
Yeah, he's not talking cool.
In fact, I liked Ho-Oh more than I liked Lugia after that. Ho-Oh was like this awesome bird, which we saw in the very first Pokemon anime episode. Because Ash sees Ho-Oh flying across the sky with the big old rainbow behind it. And then after that, I was like, yeah, Ho-Oh, guys. Everyone else liked Lugia. I was the minority in that.
Well, I think that's going to be it for the Pokemon segment, but we're going to move on to segment 2 here. Technically, I guess the intro is segment 1, maybe. I don't know how podcasts work.
Wait, we're doing a podcast?
Welcome back to our movie podcast. We're going to talk about movies. I'm Leonard Malton, and you're
Rod Stewart.
Siskel and Roy.
I'm gonna be Rod Stewart, man.
We're going to talk about stuff we've been playing, video games that we have played recently. Because I love games. I play so many of them now. When I'm thinking about it, don't you?
Oh God, I the problem with me is I start so many games, and then like I love RPGs. That's my gig. But like I'll start an RPG and I'm like, this goes on for another 100 hours. I don't know if I have 100 hours in me to get through all this.
I have a Switch. I never use it. I got Diamond. I put Diamond in my Switch. I played it for 2 weeks. Put my Switch away and haven't touched it yet.
See, I ended up playing Pearl. Got to Cynthia. They made Cynthia like the most OG battler ever in a game. She has full IVs, max stats, and the best items and moveset. I'm like, bro, you're gonna make kids cry with this. You're making me cry and I'm an adult. And then I was like you. I just kind of sat down and I'm like, no more, thank you.
I had Octopath Traveler, played through 2 chapters, stopped playing.
I heard that game was so good.
Now, something grabbed me, and that something is in the most recent Nintendo Direct. They didn't announce Triangle Strategy, but they're like, hey, it's coming out in March. So Triangle Strategy, which is use the same 2D, 3D HD engine that Octopath uses, which just looks beautiful. This like pixel art in this 3D environment. Man, it looks so good. Project Triangle Strategy is like much like I keep calling it Project Triangle Strategy. It was called Project Triangle Strategy, and now they're like it's just called Triangle Strategy. But I always still call it.
Is that the one I see on like my YouTube ads a lot?
Yeah,
it's like all purple in the background initially for the ads.
Pixel art, and it's like a strategy game. Yeah, so it looks like it kind of looks like Advance Wars. Kind of meets.
It kind of gave me like early Fire Emblem vibes.
Yeah, it is very much kind of that strategy-based, move your guys around a grid, and they, there's different attacks, blah, blah, blah. I kind of want it, but I kind of don't, because I'm really bad at strategy stuff.
See,
but
I'm just that way with a lot of Nintendo games. Like, I want that, and I'm like, I'll never play it.
What did get announced that I have much interest in is a game called Live Alive, which is a Japanese Super Nintendo game. Never before released in the United States. But it is getting a remake in the same 3D, 2D HD style. So it's got this, it looks like Octopath. It's got the sweet SNES art, like pixel art, but it's in this 3D environment. And I'm going to buy it the day it comes out. There's a physical edition. But it is inspired Octopath. So Live Alive there's 7 chapters. Each chapter is a different era in history. So there's
that's super cool.
There's like a Wild West cowboy zone, and when you're in the cowboy zone, all the combat's going to be like gunfighting. And then there's like a future zone, and the future zone's about this kid. He's got psychic powers, so his fighting is going to be like using his psychic powers. There's like a present day one that's about like this guy wants to become like a champion martial artist. So now it's all going to be martial artists. So each chapter, the gameplay is totally different.
That's really crazy.
And then once you beat all 7 chapters, an 8th final chapter unlocks. Inspired Octopath, and now is remade using the Octopath engine. And so that got announced, and some of the folks I follow were like, man, that looks good. And some of the people I had seen who had played it were like, I can't wait for that because the game rules. I'm like, I'm going to get that. So I was like, I'm going to go back and I'm going to sit down and beat Octopath. So I'm just about to pick up my 7th character out of the 8. I'm going to try and beat everything to the best of my ability. So I've been playing a lot of that. Very much turn-based combat RPG. It's fun. I do like it. It is... I was talking to some of my friends who have played it a bit more, and they're like, yeah, later you can multi-class your guys so they can use abilities from the other classes, and I'm like...
See, that's why I want to play that game so much.
I'm not ready for the confusion.
So good.
I'm not ready for the confusion. I just want to play a normal RPG, but they're like, this is no normal RPG. Also, no offense, maybe I'm just, like, bad at video games. It's, in my opinion, it's kind of hard. Like, even, like...
I've heard that it's a challenging game. I don't think that's just you. I've literally heard that, you know, it's kind of like the whole idea of, like, Dark Souls, where it's a challenge, but people love that challenge, and they keep going back
and
for
it. And it is fun. I mean, the more characters you get, the easier it does get in a lot of ways. But I was having some trouble with some of the early stuff, but it is a ton of fun. I've been playing that. Other than that, on PS5, I've been playing Yakuza Like a Dragon. I love the Yakuza series. Some of the real-time combat and the other ones did not really grip me. Yakuza Like a Dragon, Yakuza 7, perfect starting point for people new to the franchise. Another turn-based combat game. It is silly and funny. I've already played through it on PS4 when it came out, so now it is purely just me going back, experiencing it all again. Man, that game is fun. I love that game.
I hear you talk about it a lot with the Yakuza games, and I have a lot of other friends that are also like, you need to play these. So... through my collecting, I've gone out and I've bought most of the Yakuza collection. Have not played one yet.
See, I was playing Judgment on PS4, and then I was gifted a PS5, and it's not backwards compatible on PS5. It's super weird. You have
to buy the PS5 version of it.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, there's no upgrade for Judgment. So now I'm like, well, now I have to go buy. I have Lost Judgment. I pre-ordered Lost Judgment. Now I just need to like sit down and just like buy Judgment on PS5 and
replay through it again.
And you know, I wasn't super far, maybe a few chapters in, right? But like, no, yeah, I have to replay it through that point. But yeah, no, I'm on a huge turn-based kick right now, which I've always loved turn-based combat games. I really like that style of gameplay. Always really gripped me. Of like Final Fantasy, OG Final Fantasy.
Yep.
You guys are in a line, you know, actions.
Speaking of Final Fantasy, which one is your favorite? Because I think that really shows a lot of character in people.
Now, nobody judge me. We're going to do the whole thing where Alex is going to say, like, wow, this game rules, and Josh is going to say, hey, I never played it, and then the internet is going to beat me up for brownie points.
Or they're going to beat me up because I oversold it.
I played 7 Remake.
Okay.
I liked that, but I know people didn't like that they changed the story around.
The story was... kind of weird in that one. I will agree with the majority of people.
I am looking forward to the future Final Fantasy VII remakes. I played a decent chunk of 15. That was good. I can't do modern games. They're like, okay, here's our open world. If you walk from one corner of the map to the other, there will be 10,000 things for you to pick up and do, and it will take you 3 days to walk across the map. I'm like, bro, I ain't walking 3 days across the map. Final Fantasy 15 is like, you get to the first town, and then they're like, here's 900 things for you to do. If you want to leave the first town, it's going to take you like 10 hours to get beyond the first town. And that's on top of watching cutscenes all the time.
I haven't played 15 yet, and it's on my to-do list.
That being said, there was a ramen noodle hat. I was like, Noctis wear the ramen noodle hat. How could I not? And it is like the branded like noodle. It's not like,
oh my god,
it's not like
you
a
just got a
fake
Maruchan face on your head.
It did have a Maruchan. He's like wearing a branded hat. I thought that was pretty good. You get the classic. It goes, I've created a new recipe, and you hear that 500 times. Pretty solid. But I played. You know, I liked the combat style of 7 Remake. I was like, I'm gonna go play some of these other ones. Played 15. I did enjoy that. It just takes forever. You can get the Final Fantasy VII soundtrack. I was just driving in the car, listening to One Winged Angel the whole time. Pretty good.
Great song.
I have Type 0 HD special edition for PS4. I haven't touched it. My wife, she's like, when you play that, you have to let me know. She bought it for me. She's really invested. She's like, I think I'm gonna like the story of this one a lot. So I have to play that. She's gonna watch me play that. I just started 13. I picked up 13-2, and Lightning Returns.
Most people consider that to be the worst Final Fantasy.
Really? People are like, 13's the worst one.
13's... So, like, I haven't played through 13 all the way, and I really need to go back and do that. But the first... I think it's like the first hour or 2 hours of the game, you are walking down a straight hallway, just fighting enemies that come up. And that's entire. It's like black on both sides, and you're just walking down this pathway.
Now, I was going to say, I have only played maybe like the first 15-20 minutes. Yes, absolutely, you're on the train crashes. I kind of don't like, and I can't be like, oh, they're trying to make lightning like Cloud.
Yep.
But literally, they gave her the Buster Sword at one point. It was like a pre-order bonus. They gave her the Buster Sword, but she's like, I'm on a mission, and we're gonna. I played the first 20 minutes of the game, right? What do I know? But she's like, I'm cold and unfeeling, and I have a mission to do. And I'm like, no offense, I'm really not gonna like this game if you're just gonna like sit there the whole time and be like, oh, I've got a job to do.
If I remember right, she's like super pessimistic the entire time.
And then her friend has the chocobo in his afro.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, legendary. Love the look.
So, like, for Final Fantasy, for me, I have played through 5, 7, 9, 10, and 12.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the ones I've played through. Obviously, I'm a big fanboy of 7. I'm kind of, like, the majority of all. But if I really had to pick a favorite, I would say 12, which is also not the most highly looked upon in Final Fantasy terms. That was the one that, it came out on PS2. I got it day one, steel case. I was living the good life as a kid. And, like, I probably put, close to 50 to 80 hours somewhere in there on my original save file.
I own 12, the Steelbook on PS4 as well.
The Zodiac Age, the remake of it. I have that too.
I own a bunch of them. But it's just one of those things, like I said, like big games like that. It's like
it's tough.
I started.
You look at it, you're like, there's 100 hours to play, and I have like 5 hours I can put in.
It's like I want to play this, but also if I want to even get close to some realm of completion with like a decent chunk of things, we're looking at like 80 hours. I started Persona 5 Royal, so I played Persona 5. Royal gets announced. I'm going to stop playing Persona 5.
Did you finish 5 originally?
Incorrect. No, I had gotten to like the end of like the first kind of big dungeon or whatever.
Oh my goodness.
Right. So end of the first dungeon. Boom, Royal comes out. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to stop playing because I'll just start over. Only beat the whole freaking first dungeon again, which is not short at all.
No.
And then it's just one of those things where I'm like, I beat the first dungeon. Well, now I only have 120 hours left, and then I can maybe beat the game with some semblance of completion.
On my playthrough of 5, I played all the way through it. I think my end time was 125 hours.
No, thank you.
And, like, the last probably 20 hours of that game, I was like, I don't want to play this anymore. I want to stop. But I was like, I'm so far invested. I really love the Persona series in general. Shin Megami Tensei is like in my top 5, RPGs to play whenever I see them. And I was so completely demoralized and burnt out from that game.
Yeah. But taking it back, that being said, my favorite Final Fantasy game is Kingdom Hearts 3. Is that the answer you want?
You know what? I'll take that. I'll take that.
No, 7 Remake was amazing. Even for like a PS4 game, I was like, this looks.
It looked good. It looked real good.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing I've always thought about the Final Fantasy games. They look good. Like I was playing freaking Final Fantasy 13 on my PS3. And I was like, this, for a PS3 game, this looks like a PS4 game. It looks good. I mean, it looks like the cutscenes, the pre-rendered cutscenes and stuff. It looks amazing.
I mean, even if you go back to, like, 9, PS1, it looks great for a PS1 game. It's amazing how well they stand up.
But, yeah, lots of turn-based Lots of turn-based combat for me. I started Marvel Spider-Man Remastered, which I have already played and beaten. I haven't done the DLC, so I'm going to play through it, do the DLC I played. I have a PS5. Do I use it? Not for what it's intended for. I play all my PS4 games again. I have Demon Souls. Elden Ring just came out. I'm scared to get Elden Ring.
Oh God.
I want to play Demon Souls before I play Elden Ring because I've never played a Souls game. My wife already thinks I have anger issues. I don't think I need to get started on that kind of a journey.
See, personally for me, I wouldn't start with Demon Souls. I would go straight to like Dark Souls 1.
Go to the OG.
And just like try to work from there. Because Demon Souls is the precursor. And
Sure.
Granted, I haven't played the remake. But the original one was so ridiculously tough for me at first that I literally had to just stop playing it. Going into like things that I've played, I've been playing a ton of RPG stuff. I've been really going towards like Star Ocean. I started Star Ocean. I'm on Star Ocean 2 and I'm working my way through the series. The big thing for me with Star Ocean that just keeps me drawn in that universe so far is the fact that it's all RPG based. To like you can get you can teach your characters about cooking. You can tell them to learn about making maps or doing writing and stuff, and it absorbs you so far into that game. I've probably spent like close to 60 hours on each one so far, and I just keep going back for more. Granted, I have to set them down for a while and then come back. But Star Ocean's a game that's really going to keep me held within it. The other thing that I've been going on is Tokyo Extreme Racer. It's a PS2 game. Started playing Zero where the game starts and have just been addicted. You just roam around the Tokyo highways. It's kind of a mix between a racing game and a fighting game. You have like a little health bar on the top. And that is really interesting because if you get too far behind, your health goes way far down. If you're really close to each other, it doesn't really do too much. And if you start pulling ahead, their health starts to go down. It's really hard. They have things called, racer cars in the game called Wanderers, which are like your boss cars to beat. The game loves to tease you because there's been plenty of times where I'll get into one of those races and I'll just zoom ahead. They get caught on a car or, the good old PS2 polygon edges that stick out where they shouldn't be. And, like, they'll get stuck and I'll, like, get through, halfway through the race. They're on, like, a sliver of health. And, bam, they slingshot past me and I lose the race. And it's so frustrating, but, it's calming at the same time. You really, really get a sense of just kind of, like, I could cruise in this game, not actually do any racing, and have tons of fun.
Mm.
Good like mellow game that you can either go really hard in and really just try to get the most out of it, or you could just be laid back, chill, listen to the techno beats that they got going on in it.
The game like that for me was always Tony Hawk franchise, and especially the remake remake that came out. That is my go-to game. If I got 30 minutes of free time, I'm gonna play some Tony Hawk, and I've been working on beating. You can do each level all over again, like every classic goal over again with each skater. So I've been grinding out, doing every skater, beating every level with every skater.
I think that's what makes the Tony Hawk series so appealing is that, like, you can either follow the story and try to go for all the hard tricks and get all the little secrets that they have, or you could just skate around and do nothing.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's free skate. You can just practice. I've been helping a buddy of mine work on his skating skill. He watched me play. He's like, man, you're so good. I want to get good at that. And then I'll watch him play, and he's like, I did a combo of 10,000 points. I'm like, hey, good job, buddy.
When it comes to games, though, you have to start somewhere, especially in, like, skill-based games like that. Like, a great example really is Guitar Hero. Mm-hmm. Everyone starts on easy. They have to learn how to play, and eventually, if you keep just practicing, you'll get to expert. And Tony Hawk's very much like that. You have to work on your balance. You have to know where to start, and you just develop into RPGs at that point.
Exactly. Yeah, there are definitely a lot of movement things you have to kind of remember for that, for sure. Yeah. But that's definitely one of the things we've talked about This is going to kind of turn into our wrap up, I think, a little bit here soon. But we talked about we want to do streaming or some kind of recorded, what have you, in the future.
Yep.
Videos or something along that matter.
Record us playing a certain game that we want to talk about. Have that separate from the actual podcast, and then just have an overlay.
If for the backlog, we're going to say, hey, let's say we think SSX3 is a game of value that people should play. Well, let's stream twice this week. Let's stream us playing SSX3 so we can get kind of a feel for the game. Obviously something I played as a kid a ton.
Yep, I played Tricky a ton as well. So
yeah, there are definitely. There's a lot of games from that kind of mid-2000s era that I have a lot of interest in. And that includes our stuff like Tony Hawk's and our SSX Trickies.
We grew up with them,
radios, and
I feel like we didn't appreciate them as much as we do now. I think the nostalgia really pulls us back into, like, I have so many fond memories of playing just, random things like Pokemon, going back to our original topic. But, like, playing Pokemon now is so much more to me than what I really was when I was a kid.
I had Brutal Legend as a kid. My dad got it for me on 360. I remember I wanted Guitar Hero so bad or something like that. And he's like, I got you a game for your birthday. And I was like, oh yeah. Mentally I was like, it's going to be Guitar Hero. And he was like, it's Brutal Legend. And I was like, very clearly disappointed. He's like, look, I know it's not what you wanted, but you should try it out and see if you like it.
Give it a try, man.
And I tried it. Brutal Legend freaking rules, man. It's an awesome game. And, it's definitely one of those things, if I played through it again, I'd be like, I appreciate this way more.
You put Jack Black in anything, though? Come on.
It's got Ozzy Osbourne, man. It's got, what's her name? She sings Kiss Me Deadly. Lita Ford.
Oh, Lita Ford, yep. And,
Lemmy, Motorhead?
Yeah, Lemmy's in there. That's what I was thinking of. And it's just such a... Oh, God, I could talk about that game.
They got a stacked cast. Man, that game rules. It's funny. It is good. But, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of games from our childhood that absolutely would benefit from us playing through them again. You take a fresh look at something you haven't thought about in years. There are so many games. I always bring this up. But there's a game on PS2 called Mojo. It is a ball rolling game. You roll a ball, and it's like, so there's red squares. So you got to roll your ball through the red gate to turn them red. Then the red ball can roll up the red squares. Then you got to roll them through the green gate to roll up the green squares. And the whole bit of the level is like, clear all the colored blocks as fast as you can, get to the end. Just such a simple concept. I played that game for so freaking long, man. And it is not an expensive game. Not even close. It is some
I feel like there's a lot of games now that I played and garbage that weren't, that like nowadays are like, here's $5. Go get that game. And I could probably spend another 20 hours
absolutely playing some game where you roll a ball into colored squares for just hours and hours. There's so many games hidden out there that are like that are worthy of being in the backlog. That it's, even if it's something where you say, oh, if you go, I don't have a PS2, I don't plan on playing these games. Go watch a YouTube video, somebody playing through it. You will benefit from seeing this. And you will find enjoyment out of it.
I think a lot of people kind of get the misconception of, like, we talk about a backlog, we talk about playing these games. You don't need to play these games. I think just knowing them and, like, seeing what they brought to the table a lot of times is enough of a respect to what we're trying to get, like, the point across of, that you can, still appreciate what the game was and not have to spend hours playing it.
And that's why it's called the backlog, right? It's one of those things, maybe you'll get to it, maybe you won't. The backlog changes all the time. It's like the back room or something. You're like,
the back room.
Yeah, customers like, can you check in the back? And you're like, yeah, and you just go stand in the back room. That's what the backlog is. It's like a mysterious room. My backlog is a mysterious pile of things, ever shifting. More things are getting added. Maybe I'll play them, maybe I won't. Sometimes things just sit on a shelf and collect dust. That's fine.
They're pieces of artwork, honestly. So, I mean, I don't have problem with people that are like, yeah, I bought, like, all these games and I only played one of them. Like, do you enjoy the rest of them? Do you enjoy at least even looking at them? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I love them. I go, it's good enough, man. It's your backlog.
Exactly. It's the backlog. But, yeah, I think that's going to wrap us up here. We're nearing the hour mark. We are going to be setting up some official things here.
Yep, we're set up an email.
We'll have an email, yeah, so people can email us. You know, if you have a game that you think is worthy of the backlog, you think something we missed, something, you know.
Something you think we're wrong about?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not. Look, I'm gonna be the first one to tell you, I'm barely conscious half the time. I'm lucky to know anything at all. So I mean, absolutely, we're gonna say something on here where you're gonna say that's just incorrect. Absolutely, we'll do redactions. So I'm not worried about it. There'll probably be keep an eye on YouTube or something like that. We'll have a channel. We'll
upload streams,
podcasts.
Us being horrible at playing games that we've been wanting to play for the last 5 years.
We'll do a Dark Souls stream, and I'll get everybody I know to come watch at me, and every time I die, everybody can point and laugh loudly.
I'll do that here in the room. You don't have to worry.
Perfect. But yeah, we'll get something set up. Please keep an eye on this space. The backlog.
The backlog.
Episode 1.
Done.